Shall we bow for prayer? Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you now, Lord, thanking you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we ask that you watch over this court and the people of Pike County, dear Lord. Lord, we pray that everything that's said and done, dear Lord, that would be done in a way to be pleasing unto you. Lord, we pray that you watch over each family that's represented here today, dear Lord. Lord, we just ask these things in your precious and holy of names. And amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Scott?
Present.
Commissioner Atkins?
Present.
Commissioner Lewis?
Present.
We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. I'd like to ask Fabian Little if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go on into the agenda, I want to take this opportunity just to express my condolences to Commissioner Atkins and his family for the loss of his sister Mary Lou this week. And Bubby, on behalf of all the staff here, we'd like to express our condolences to your family. I know she had been sick for a while, have been struggling, and we just want to let you know how our hearts go out to you.
I appreciate it, Judge. It's been a venture. Sure
Well,
is.
again, we're very sorry. And also on that same note, I want to mention too that Junior Justice, a real close friend of Commissioner Scott, myself, Fabian, passed away after a really tough battle with lung cancer. And we just want to ask everyone to remember those families in their prayers. It's a really tough time to go through something like that here before the holidays.
Judge, he was probably one of the best persons I ever met. He was kind, humble, a beautiful, beautiful family over there, and I'd like to think of his wife. You know, I know she's having a real hard time by herself. You know, she's got Toby there, lives pretty close, but she's having a really hard time. I mean, real good family.
They are good people, and they did a great job raising Toby too. And he worked here for the county for a while.
Well, you know, it's pretty tough on her, Judge. She's been through a whole lot this summer. She lost her son back in the summer too, so it's been hard. So, real hard.
Well, again, we want to express our condolences to that family as well. All right, we have the motion. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the September 17th and December 5th, 2024 meetings of the fiscal court?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lewis. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is the second reading of the proposed Pike County solid waste ordinance. I'd ask the county attorney if he would just read it by title only.
The ordinance regulating the disposal of solid waste in Pike County, title only is Pike County Solid Waste Ordinance.
All right. This is the cleanup ordinance that we had a first reading on and discussed. Chuck did a lot of this, and Chuck, you did a lot of work into it. Sort of streamlines it, simplifies it, and puts it in compliance with Kentucky's, with current statutes, as opposed to the 85 ordinance that have been put in place back when Governor Patton was county judge. So I will make a motion to adopt the amended solid waste ordinances. Or a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Atkins. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is a policy that amends our former ordinance relating, actually former policy relating to citing procedures. I'd like to ask the county attorney if he would read that one by title only as well. Second reading.
This ordinance is regulating the Pike County citing procedures, and the ordinance shall be known as Pike County Citing Ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? This is a cleanup. It cuts through a lot of bureaucracy. This is sort of a policy I think President Trump would appreciate because it cuts a lot of red tape and bureaucracy out and potentially could help create some jobs down the road and bring some economic development into the county. So is there a motion to approve the
Motion.
motion by Commissioner Atkins? Is there a second?
Yeah. Judge, can I ask a couple of questions on this? So basically what this is doing, so people understands, this is just allowing another company to petition our county for a landfill, correct? That's all that is.
That's all this does. It doesn't do anything else. It just sets the procedure out and the fee that would have to be paid if somebody applies. And essentially, the way I look at it is this county doesn't need to do anything that would cost us jobs or investment.
Right.
And I think this goes a long way in streamlining that. And basically, if you apply, it's just like when the county applied for permit, all that's done by the state. The county, in my opinion, shouldn't be in the business of regulating coal mines or landfills or industrial sites. I mean, those are things that the state already does, and I think it would be just onerous on a business if you're trying to create jobs when you're losing jobs left and right with Excel, you know, we're doing the WARN notice and the mine up at Rob Fork shut down and, you know, family after family having to move to find work. I don't think the county ought to do anything that makes it harder to bring a business in here or more difficult to get some company to come in here and make a substantial investment. William and I went and went to Grayson yesterday for a meeting, and it's something that may never happen. It's something that may happen. But, you know, we've got a company that's looking at doing a big project in Bell County. It's in the permitting process. They're looking for some other places in eastern Kentucky to do a similar power generating facility. I don't know if there's a place in Pike County that would be suitable or not. Probably would be 5 or 10 years down the road if it did happen. But we went down and met with them, and we're going to get them some information on some potential sites. I mean, look, you don't create jobs overnight. Government, in my opinion, is not in the business of creating jobs. What government should be doing is making it easier for the private sector to create jobs. Just like, you know, if you think about it, one of the things that's hurt the coal industry is government regulation. You've worked in the coal industry. Ronald's made his living from it. Bubby's made his living. You look around this, and he's worked in the coal industry. You know, Jimmy's been in the mining industry. A lot of people have been involved in mining. One of the things that's hurt us is government regulation. We need to make sure that Pike County is a business-friendly place, because if, you know, we're not just competing against Floyd County and we're not competing against Mingo County. We're competing against the rest of the country for jobs. And if we don't have a business-friendly environment here, they'll go somewhere else. And so all this does is clarifies the procedures and what somebody, if they wanted to build some type of solid waste disposal facility here, what they would have to do in terms of notifying the county and going through the process. And then it's up to the state whether they can qualify for a permit. I can tell you this much. With what we had to do just to get a permit to expand the current landfill, it took 5 years.
That's crazy.
And we had a landfill already sitting there. And we had to spend over $1 million to get the permit just to expand the landfill that's already sitting there. And that's really absurd. You know, they even went as far as making us acquire the mineral under the existing landfill. That landfill's been there for 30 years. It was never an issue before, but they wanted to make sure that the county had the mineral under it. It shouldn't have taken 5 years and $1 million for this county to get a permit. And we're looking at what our options are, because, you know, we got a big decision to make here in the next couple months. Do we look at alternatives, or do we spend $14 or $15 million to expand this landfill? The big issue, the big concern I have is when we started this project in 2019, the cost estimate for the first 15-year sale of the expansion was $6 to $7 million, which almost doubled. I think that's pretty consistent when, you know, I talked to a contractor this week that said, build a new home, you're looking at almost $200 a square foot. Go buy a vehicle right now, look at what the cost is. I mean, if you're in business right now, the cost to do a business is higher than it was 6 or 7 years ago. COVID had a big impact on that. So I'm all for this. And if we've got an opportunity to bring a bunch of jobs in here and a bunch of investment that's going to generate tax revenue for the county, it's going to generate tax revenue for our schools and health department and libraries, and at the same time it would allow me to propose a reduction in the solid waste fees. My goal is, before I leave the judge's office, whenever that may be, is that we can cut this garbage rate. And the only way we're going to do that is if we've got other alternatives. Because, and I'll say this, and I don't really care who it makes mad, and I don't care who's listening. The prior courts ignored this problem. Not one penny was put aside for solid waste disposal when this landfill was full. Not one, there was not even a plan in place. And they were taking our coal severance tax money that we needed for economic development, and they were subsidizing the garbage rates, so that way they didn't make anybody mad. Well, guess what? We don't have coal severance tax. You know, we got down to 1.1 million in coal and mineral severance a couple years ago. In 2009, it was $12.4 million. And, you know, it's just, you know, we've had a history of not electing some of the sharpest tools to run this county. And, you know, they dug a huge hole for the people to have to pay to climb out of. And, you know, I'm not going to let it go back there as long as I'm judge. This is an opportunity, may never happen, to bring some outside investment in that could create a bunch of jobs and a bunch of tax revenue. And let us lower the garbage rates. If we don't have to spend $15 million or somewhere in that neighborhood to expand this landfill in the next year or two, that means we could probably cut garbage bills.
I'm all for that.
If we have to spend this money and we have to do this landfill expansion, there's no other alternative, all bets are off, because it ain't gonna get no cheaper. And I will say this much, a lot of people here were spoiled because of the, you know, the fact they were taking our economic development money and subsidizing garbage. Now we don't have that luxury to do it because we don't have the coal severance tax. But going forward, if we can't find some other solution and we have to do this, it may be after I'm out of office, but these rates will end up having to go up. There's no question. If we can find another option with some outside investment, it would allow us to cut the rates because it gets the county out of the liability and cost of running a landfill. Landfills are a huge liability. There are environmental challenges, there are air quality, water quality issues, there's regulatory issues, just like in the mining industry. And anytime you own a landfill, it's a legal and financial liability. But the closest landfill to us right now is Greenup. So, I mean, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if we don't have a landfill here and it's got to be hauled to Greenup and you're going to pay them $48 a ton or somewhere, maybe by the time we get to that point, it may be over $50 a ton. You've got 58,000 tons a year going into our landfill. So do the math. Let's say it's $50 a ton at 50 times 58,000. That's what you're going to be paying them to take it. You're going to have to haul 58,000 tons a year to Greenup. Now, Ronald's been in the trucking business for many, many years. And with diesel fuel at the current prices, what would it cost to haul 58,000 tons of garbage to Greenup, Ronald?
It'd be unimaginable, really.
It would be unimaginable.
I don't know a lot about how the garbage weighs, like versus coal. Let me put it that way.
Well, you can't put as much garbage in a truck as you can coal.
Right.
Natural, you can't do that.
Because you can't
You
compact.
you might get half of it.
Yeah,
So I would say on a tractor and trailer, from here to there,
25.
if you got 20 ton on it,
I was
it's
going to say
compact.
20 to 25.
you're close. I think you're real close.
So you're talking a couple thousand or 2,000 truckloads of garbage going to Greenup. What do you think that cost a load? $750,000 a load?
I'd say somewhere around 700, 750.
So that'd be $1.4 million, $1.5 million a year,
It'd be
plus a couple $1 million to dump it.
It'd be expensive,
So,
real expensive.
We
but-
can do it.
You'd have
well,
to
you
raise
could,
it.
you just have to raise the rates because,
You'd have to charge $75 a
well,
month for a
That's what
garbage
I'm-
bill.
well, let me tell you, you would still have to shut down this landfill. Then you know, and that's what we looked at. Are you better off hauling it or are you better off expanding it? In the absence of another option here in the county, you're better off expanding it. If you've got a private facility here that we could dump in at no cost to the county, now think about that, no cost, not one penny of money that would cost the fiscal court to dump into that landfill in perpetuity for years and years and years. It would save us millions and millions of dollars that we could reduce off these garbage rates. People got mad at me when the garbage rates went up. I get it. But it was either that or shut down Pike County Solid Waste and contract it out, or hauling it to Ashland, and then, you know, down the road, people be paying a lot more. You go over and look at Waste Management, some of these other companies, they charge a lot more than we do, and they operate in this region. You know, I mean, people don't realize if you, for $24.50 a month, if you tear down a house, they'll send a daggone boom truck up there to clean it up.
Yeah.
If you clean out your house and you've got a dumpster full, they'll still come up there and it cost you $24.50. There's other counties around us that let you put what, Chuck, 6 bags a week out? 6 of those little white bags a week. You go over that. You know, we looked at one system that any bag over was $2.50 a bag over 6 or over 5. I mean, look, water costs money, power costs money, gas costs money, food costs money. Everything costs money. It don't get cheaper. And it may, you know, to provide these services to the people of this county is not going to get cheaper. Somebody tells me how to get gas cheaper, vehicles cheaper. You know, employees have to be paid. Inflation, you've had to give employees raises because, you know, we've lost some really good employees to we've lost guys off Fabian's crew because they can go work on a strip job and make several dollars an hour more. We've lost CDL drivers for that very reason. And if you've got good employees and you don't pay them, you ain't gonna keep them. Now, I mean, you know, that's just the fact of the matter. And, you know, there's no longer a pension system for these new employees to keep them and retain them because it's sort of like a 401k, just like they would get for a private coal company. So you don't have that carrot to recruit and retain employees. And I think we need to make every effort in the next couple years. And I commend President Trump. I agree 100% what he's trying to do. They need to rein the IRS in. They need to get bureaucracy out of the way. You can't deal with government.
Yeah.
That's why people are so disdainful of the federal government, is because it's just, you know, they'll work harder to try to find a way not to help you than they will to help you. And people are tired of it.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what we deal with to try to keep businesses going in our county.
Well, if you
or in our state or anywhere.
Well, if you run a small business, or if you run a county, you're paying your employees, you're paying all your utilities, you're paying general liability, malpractice in my case, you're paying commercial auto coverage if you got company vehicles, you're paying workers' comp, you're paying unemployment insurance tax. I mean, and then if you have any money left, you're paying your own FICA and Medicare on that. You're paying 15.65% of your, on top of that, plus federal income tax, plus 4% state income tax, plus occupational tax. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, people running small businesses, they don't have nothing left after they pay the government and pay insurance. So if y'all, you know, will work with me on this, I think there's an opportunity we can do some stuff to cut costs for the county long-term and create some jobs here. Because I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. If we don't create some jobs here, and I'm going to say this again, government doesn't create jobs. Government creates an environment where businesses can be successful. Less regulation, lower tax burdens. We've not raised one penny of property tax since I've been judge, not one penny. Same rate is on the books right now as when I came in office. The court before me raised property taxes twice, and they put the occupational tax in. We've not been able to cut it, but you think about all the inflation we've had in the last 6 years since I've been judge with COVID and everything, and we've not raised one penny of tax, not one. And the county's in better financial shape than it's been in years because we're watching what we spend. We're making sure we're not just handing money to county vendors and contractors and and people for things like auto parts, just because they were doing favors for people. The simple fact of the matter is, we've got to make an environment in this county where it's the most business-friendly county, because if you don't have jobs coming in, our young people, my kids, are going to have to leave just like everybody else. I talked to a friend of mine from high school this morning. She's got 2 kids, both of them are in Lexington. Jeannie's got 2 sons, both of them are gone. Texas. Ronald's got kids that have left the state. William's got 2 that have left Eastern Kentucky. I mean, you can go through this room around here and look. Sharon's kids, she's got 1 that's moved away. I mean, Pam, her son's, left. I mean, you've got people who have raised families here, and their kids are having to move away to find work. So there's no guarantees that what we do will create jobs, but like this industrial site at Wolf Pit, we didn't even have an industrial site in the county when I came in. We've spent most of the money is federal money and state money that we were able to get through grants. I can tell you 2 things. One, if you don't have an industrial site, or if you have an industrial site, there's no guarantee somebody's coming to it. But the absolute guarantee is if you don't have one, nobody's coming. Okay?
That's what
So,
I'm telling
by putting this ordinance in place, it creates an opportunity, and we will have an opportunity to scrutinize any application in the state. After what I've seen, go in there in Williams' office and look at the binders of information that it took for us to get a permit to expand that landfill. It's a slow process, but if you could create a couple hundred construction jobs and 50 full-time jobs and not have to spend $15 million to do it, and your schools are getting more taxes, you get a $100 million investment here on a piece of property that ain't worth nothing right now. Your schools are going to benefit. Your health department's going to benefit. The fiscal court's going to generate tax from it. You're going to get occupational net profit tax in addition to the property tax. We need to see what we can do on some of these issues. And, if y'all don't want to do this, it would basically mean that we're going to have to spend, the only option we will have if we don't pass this is to go ahead and vote to spend the $12, $14, $15 million that this landfill expansion is going to cost. And at some point down the road, whether I'm here or not, whether you are here or not, somebody in these seats are going to have to say, rates are going to have to go up. If we could get some outside investment in, we might be able to cut the rates. And you got a lot of people here on fixed income, like my mom and dad, who, there's a lot of people on fixed income.
My mother.
And, anytime something goes up and your income don't, it's a problem. So, but anyway, if y'all want to do this, we can. If not, then, we'll probably at the next court meeting have it on the agenda to go ahead and let the contract on this landfill expansion. And at that point, all bets are going to be off about what, whether the current rate can sustain it. And probably not if you have to spend $15 million.
No, I mean, I'm all for, open business and letting people petition for sure. I mean, I think it's a good thing to let people come in and have options that we can look at and go over with them and, compare and do cost analysis and stuff. I think it's good. I just asked a question because.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked it because it was a good question.
Yeah, it opens the door up so everybody understands what we're doing up here, and the people knows that we're not just, saying, yep, we're gonna do this, There's a lot to play, but at least we're opening the door up to allow, job creations. That's a great thing. I'm a yes for sure on that.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scott. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, it is my motion to appoint Commissioner Freddie Lewis to fill the vacant position on the Pike County Trail Advisory Board for a county commissioner. That term expires 12/31/2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Atkins. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is authorization to file an application for the Kentucky Ambulance Block Grant for fiscal year 20, ending in 2026, approval for the judge executive to execute all documents. This grant would be up to $10,000 for Appalachian First Response and $10,000 for the City of Pikeville Ambulance Service. We've done this pretty much every year. We have been operating under the assumption it was $10,000 per county, but we think that there may be an opportunity to get up to $10,000 for these two different services. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Atkins. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is the approval for the installation of an ADA door opener for the Pikeville Senior Citizen Center. This is something that Colonel Downey brought to our attention. I don't know as much of a project as we had there. They did not put an automatic door opener in, and you've got senior citizens who are in wheelchairs and, walkers and things like that can't open the doors. The cost is $4,369, and it is from Customer's Glass. Is that correct, Paul? It was the cheapest one. So, is there a motion to approve the installation and purchase of a automatic ADA compliant automatic door opener for the Senior Citizen Center in Pikeville for the sum of $4,369 and authorization for the treasurer to issue payment for the same?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scott, who is our resident senior citizen on the board. You didn't catch my joke. I said, we've got our senior citizen member of the court to make the second on that.
He's saying you'll be the first one to use that door opener.
All right. We have a
I'm about
motion
ready.
second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. All right. Frankie, we have a budget amendment here. You want to just tell them what it's for, Frankie?
Judge, usually budget amendments are to amend in like new grants or things like that, but up until this point in time, there are no grants that we don't already have in the budget. So this budget amendment right here will only be to carry over at June 30 on last year's budget. It would just amend it into this current year's budget is all this budget amendment will do.
Mr. Howard, would you please present the first reading by title only of this budget amendment, please?
An ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas Pike County, Kentucky has realized unbudgeted receipts, be it ordained by Pike County of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The budget for the current fiscal year is amended to decrease the receipts of the following funds to include unbudgeted receipts from the total amended revenues of $6,567,414, and then total amended expenditures of $6,567,414.
All right. This will be advertised and be on the agenda for the next meeting for a second reading and action. Next item.
I'll have to get DOT to sign off on it, but I'll hopefully have all that done before the next.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next item is, I'm going to go ahead and skip over this next one. Greg's not here. He's under the weather right now, so we don't have anything on Greg. Fabian, I'm going to bring you on up just so we can knock this out because we got a couple things that we may take some time. You got something you need to do. We have the completed and scheduled work orders. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Atkins. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Fabian, go ahead. You have the floor.
Judge, honestly, mine will be really brief. The only thing I was going to say was let the court know that we did end up with 54 mile of asphalt. Our paving season is over. We'll start back in the spring. I will need to get with each one of the commissioners here shortly so we can go ahead and get our flex worked out and get it sent in for next year. That's basically about it. We'll be starting on some bridges here soon.
Yeah, we need to get Payton's Creek done as soon as the plant opens back up.
It will, absolutely, that's the first road, is because, I did carry that over and it just worked out, I didn't get it done. That was all on me,
Well,
but, it
Part of
slipped
it
by.
was, we didn't get as much done as we had planned because we couldn't get blacktop because of the paving that was being done on.
Yeah, and honestly, Peyton's, it needs to be done. I'm not trying to make light of that needing to be done, but we had a lot of roads that were in really bad shape, so where we wasn't getting all that in the push, I was just trying to get all the bad roads knocked out for the people. But we will get Peyton's Creek the very first to crack out as soon as the plant opens. That's what we will do.
And they told you they were gonna try to open a little earlier.
They did. They said that along with, because they're still working up there on that new 460, so their plans is they will try to open a little early this springtime. So that will help us also. But that's all I have, Judge, unless there's any questions or anything.
Fabian, me and you'd been talking about employees and how it's tough to get excavator operators, backhoe operators, things like that, to put in applications. And I was just trying to think of ways to help you with that. And I was thinking about, when I worked in the mining industry back in the 90s, we had a shortage, just like we're having now, trying to get good equipment operators and things like that. And I was at Massey at that time. I was a safety director then, and we started a program. It was called Advanced Apprentice Equipment Operator Training. And it really, really, really worked out great for us because we just couldn't hire equipment operators. They wasn't no shuttle car operators. There wasn't no miner operators out there. And I was thinking, and going to tell you, any way that I can help in that, I would be glad to sit down and with the safety people here and you and whoever and help put a program together to where, like, the employees that we have now, say the ones in the solid waste department or whatever, if they want to learn to run a backhoe or if they want to learn an excavator or whatever, like, say once a week, we could have a little training shop set up, maybe at Johns Creek Law, and maybe bring them in and just start going over the basics with them on equipment, the maintenance, and then start them out and maybe train. And plus that would give our guys that's, on these other jobs, that would give them an opportunity to move up.
Yeah, and I'm all for,
what
I've
do you
always
think
been
about
all
something?
for these guys to move up. The only thing I would say, it would just be the cost, but if the court is fine with the overtime, because the reason I say is, we would have to schedule that after work, so like whoever's.
That would be the only catch right there.
Yeah.
Would be, where
Yeah.
they couldn't have like that.
That would be the only thing.
Friday off or something, to do it.
Yeah, and that's just because there's just so much to do here. It's hard to take a day to, but, honestly, if the court says they want to, we can. We can do it. It's just that.
Which is something to think
Yeah,
about. Just something,
there's always a way, and I'm all for anything like that.
Yeah.
And I do also, this is when I say that about the day, I want to thank each one of the commissioners, though, because you guys really did work with me this year, because with putting this asphalt down, we had to divide crews up and everything so some of this preventive maintenance did get put on the back burner. We will start catching it up now. But I want to thank each one of y'all for working with me and being patient with me and not trying to push me too hard on, because we was trying to get this asphalt laid. But I know that we did suffer a little bit on pulling some ditch lines and things like that, but we will get it caught up now.
I just, I thought about that, and I know that we're having a hard time getting people, and
Yeah.
and the people that we already have, we have some really good employees out there.
We do.
They've never had the opportunity to learn how, it's hard to learn to run an excavator if you're on the back of a garbage truck, but it would give them that opportunity to where they say, hey, well, I'm not gonna quit my job and go here. I'm gonna stay here and move up. Mm-hmm. Maybe it might take me a year to get onto an excavator or a backhoe, but I'll stay here until I can get there. It gives them a little bit of hope, you may say, that they're gonna be able to make better money and things like that, because I tell you, equipment operators, I promise, I guarantee you Pikeville Medical Center did not give birth to any excavator operators or backhoe operators
No.
last night. I mean,
That's
it's a learning, everybody's gotta learn,
Yep.
you know, so I was just wanting to throw that out there
And
to,
I've-
and tell you that I would help you in any way. I put together training program, help put together a training program, whatever. You know, that would help the employees of the county, and plus it'd help the county, you know, with good operators, you know.
Well, like I said, I'm all for anything to help these guys out, and, yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah, just stuff like that right there is just, you know, you gotta sit down and work it out.
That's right, yeah. But now also, I'm also a little bit biased, but you mentioned there a minute ago, last thing I'll say is honestly, I feel that we have the best road department in the state of Kentucky. I mean, these boys, if the public really knew how hard these boys work, they would, you know, the county workers kind of have this little, it's always a running joke, you know, they don't do anything. They'd be forced standing, you know, watching one guy work, which that's not the case. These guys really work and they care. That's the whole thing too, is it's not, these guys are here for the money, but they also care. They're out there helping and they're trying to help. And that's what, these guys are good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to plug them for a little bit.
They
That's
deserve
all I
it.
have. Judge, I'm done. I know I went longer than you wanted me to, but I'm done.
Frank, let's go ahead and do treasurer's business, and just read them all, and we'll do one motion.
Okay. Approval to execute a proposal with J.M. Wood Auction Company to sell the Mack trucks in the March 25 auction in Montgomery, Alabama, and for the judge to sign all related documents. Authorize a check to Jimmy Kaiser up to $4,000 for lodging and expenses to take those trucks back to the auction in Montgomery. Acknowledge receipt of the sheriff and clerk's 2550 report for November 2024. Authorize an ACH payment to the Kentucky Board of Veterinary Examiners for 2 2025 euthanasia license renewals at the animal shelter for $50 each plus processing fees. Authorize a standing order for checks to Country Hills Vet Clinic for the animal shelter spay and neuter services, once those invoices are approved by the Billy Tussey. Authorize a check from the ARPA bank account to Mountain Water District in the amount of $132,066.40. It'd be draw number 14. And checks to Compass Municipal Advisors and Sturgill Turner Law Firm in the amount of $1,981 for grant admin fees. Authorize an interfund transfer from the ARPA bank account to the Consolidated Bank Account General Fund for latch funds in the amount of $123,768.44 and accrued interest in the amount of $136,519.06. Authorize checks for lodging registration expenses for any employee who needs to attend the 43rd Annual KCJEA Winter Conference, which will be February 5th, 6th at the Griffin Gate Marriott in Lexington. Authorize checks for lodging registration expenses for any employee who needs to attend the 2025 Kentucky Solid Waste Conference, February 25th through the 27th at the Crown Plaza Louisville Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky. And finally, to authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated December 18th, 2024, plus any other utility bills received before we run checks.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's agenda as stated?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Atkins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, we don't have need for executive session. We've got 2 resignations and 1 hiring. Should be in your packet. Didn't make the packet, so we'll be handing those out. We'll pass these out, fairly minor stuff. We have, first of all, I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for the services of Gary France, who is retiring as a heavy equipment operator at Road Block 2 effective 12/31/2024. Gary's a fine man, and certainly appreciate his service, many years of service to the county. But yeah. What's that? You didn't know he was retiring? Gary's retiring on us. So, it is my motion to approve to acknowledge the hiring of Clinton Coleman as a transport driver, special crew of 6/8 rate of pay effective 12/16/24, to acknowledge the retirement of Gary France effective 12/31/24, to acknowledge resignation of Colin Keene effective 12/11/24, and to approve giving the truck drivers who take the trucks to Alabama a comp day for the trip to Alabama with the trucks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Atkins. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Frankie, we need to talk about the auction.
Yeah, under additional treasurer's business, there was the results of the 2 trucks that we sent back to the December auction. I think supply is catching up with them because they're not selling for as much as what they had been the last couple of years. But overall, we lost $3,148 to use those 2 trucks for a year. After all the commissions and fees. The other 9 trucks will be going back here shortly for the March auction.
Cool. Hopefully, the March auction will be a little bit better. And
Hopefully.
I think that one usually probably is because it'll hit right in the middle of the start of the construction season and stuff. So, all right. I'm trying to think what we have. So the last thing we need to talk about is this wild horse issue. And Colonel Downey's not here. I don't know if Paul's looked at this. The issue of the stray horses have been going on here for many, many years. And here's what the law says. A stray horse may be taken up and posted by any person or entity if it's found running at large outside of its enclosure, or if it can be determined from the circumstances that its owner has abandoned them. Now, I do not read that as giving people permission to go on other people's property. So if it's on your property, you can take it up, you can get somebody else to take it up. Or you could get a rescue to take it up. To take up a stray horse or cow, the documentation shall be taken before a county judge executive of the district, which that makes no sense. I mean, the county judge executive of the district makes 0 sense. Who shall administer to the taker up an oath. That's what it says, to the taker up an oath. In substance, that the equine was taken up by him as a stray, and he has not defaced or altered the marks, brands, or other identifiers, including but not limited to microchips or freeze brands of the equine. The duties of the judge executive shall be to contract with a licensed veterinarian who shall document the stray equine's breed, color, sex, marks, brands, scars, and other distinguishing features, perform a microchip scan and identify the existence of lip tattoos, freeze brands, or microchips. Record the veterinarian's findings, the name and residence of the taker up, and the location of the stray equine in the book to be kept by him for that purpose. Maintain documentation in electronic and paper format, and send a copy of the documentation of each stray to the office of the state veterinarian, who shall post the notification on the office of the state veterinarian's website. The office of the state veterinarian shall post one photograph of the stray equine's front view, including its head and feet, and one photograph of the side view from muzzle to tail. The county judge executive shall give to the taker up a copy of the documentation for the record and immediately deliver to the county clerk a certified copy of the same record. The clerk shall immediately record the stray certificate of the county judge executive as provided by the taker up in a book to be kept by him for that purpose. The taker up shall immediately post a copy of the county judge executive certificate in the sheriff's office with jurisdiction over the area where the stray cattle or equine was taken up after he posted the stray. Hold time for stray equines shall begin after all documentation is properly filed and posted in the county by the county judge executive and taker up. And if ownership is found from identifiers of the equine, such as lip tattoos, freeze brands, microchips, efforts shall be made by the county judge or his designee to ascertain the owner by investigatory due diligence and locating the owner, providing notice holding time before holding time expires. The owner claimants of the stray equine shall reimburse the county for the cost of veterinarian's assessment per the contracted agreement. The taker up shall be paid by the owner of the stray if and when the claims of the stray, the actual itemized costs incurred by the taker up in the event that a dispute rises relating to ownership, adverse claimants, third-party claims or liens, value of the equine, or actual itemized expenses incurred, the parties may file an action in a court of competent jurisdiction of the county where the stray equine was taken up. The filing of an action under the paragraph shall toll holding time as to vesting of the ownership interest. The taker up may have the stray equine sterilized only after a 15-day holding period is expired and ownership vested pursuant to KRS 259-130, and any pending court cases shall have been resolved. The property vests in the taker up after 15 days following posting. The taker up to pay value of, county judges, executives, or participating state agencies and all others acting in good faith shall be immune from criminal or civil liability. Let's see here. So this is not just a deal where I sign a form and put it and let some rescue come in here and pick the animals up.
This is what the Humane Society said.
I know, but I'm just reading to you, what I read to you was KRS. I read to you verbatim what the statute says, and it's in the packet. I really don't care what the Humane Society says, because the statutes put a tremendous amount of work on the county. And I'm not sure, how much is it gonna cost? We don't even have that budgeted.
It won't have nothing for us.
Well,
It costs us zero.
if you read what it says, the county has to hire the veterinarian.
Well, no, the Humane Society, according to them, Lori Redmond, she's the director down there of the Humane Society, this is what she put in the email. Because I asked her, I said, send an email, step by step, what needs to be done in order for us to be legal to get those horses out of Phelps. And she said, we do this all the time. She said, I'll send you an email here in just a little bit. So she sent the email, and according to her, they have the vet on staff there in Simpsonville, at their farm. So they would come in, the Humane Society would come in, with a horse rescue group. They would corral the horses. They would take them to Simpsonville, Kentucky, vet check them. They pay for all that according to this email. They pay for all that. And the only thing that she said that we would be responsible for would be to post them in the clerk's office for 15 days. She said that's the way we do it in every county. She said it wouldn't be no problem. She said the only thing that we have to do though, in fact, she emailed me back yesterday and was asking me, a few questions. She said that the two things that she has to have from a county, the Humane Society, is the taker-upper form signed, which would, and they wouldn't be on private property because I've already spoke with Glenn Turner, or I've already spoke with R&H Group. They are 100% want them gone. That's where they're hanging out at. They're having a hard time getting with their reclamation, on that strip job up there. They're having they can't get permits turned loose because they're tearing up that strip job horrible, in the reclaim sites also. And their land manager called me and told me, he said, absolutely, go up there. Humane Society can go in there and set up and catch them and get them out of here. We're fine with that. We want them gone. So I called the lady at the Humane Society, and she told me, she said, the only thing that we need, and it will not cost the county zero. She said, you guys won't be out no money whatsoever. We just need the taker-upper form signed by the county judge that says that we can come into the county and pick those strays up on permitted property. They can't come in here and go, they're not gonna come in here and go on private property unless they have permission from the property owner for sure. But we've got permission from the property owners, Lori Belcher, Eddie Dotson. There's quite a few people where it says, hey, if you gotta catch them here, we're fine with it. But I don't think we'll have to. I think we just get them up there at the, where they're running on the reclaim site, and we set up there, corral them up, and then haul them out of here. And I asked her a couple of times, I said, now, are you 100% sure that we are out nothing? And I also called a local vet and talked to them about the situation and run it by them. And they was like, hey, I'm 100% for that. I think that's the right way. I think that by the Humane Society handling this, by a horse rescue group handling this, he said, I'm all for it. He said, I was just hesitant about the county doing it themselves because, honestly, we don't have no place to put them. We can't pay for the vet check certifications on these things. And we really don't, we don't have corrals to set up. We don't have none of that. And he said, I think by the Humane Society coming in doing it, that's as good as you're gonna get, And I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure you was fine with it also.
The problem is, I don't think she's read the statute, and Paul can look at this. If you read the statute, what she says is they'll do all the stuff that the statute says that I have to do this. And
I guess
the only question I have is, the statute says the county judge can't be held liable if you good faith follow the statute. The problem is, it says the county judge shall, it don't say the county judge can delegate it to somebody. It says the county judge shall contract with a veterinarian. It don't say we can let the Humane Society do that. It says that you have to record, the county judge has to record or have a record of the veterinarian's findings, the name and residence of the taker up, and the location of the stray that has to be kept in a book. So here's the problem I've got. If the Humane Society goes in and takes a horse off of somebody's property and it belongs to somebody.
they don't.
Well, they may not, but I can tell you this. There's a well-respected veterinarian here who told me that there are people who have claims to some of these horses.
I talked to him the other day.
And he advised me not to do this.
The reason he told me he advised not to, because supposedly, well, not supposedly, but he told me, he said the reason I was not for it at the time, he says, because really, to be honest with you, we wasn't set up to take in all those horses, Freddie. He said, and plus, there was a death threat given, and he said, we wasn't really, that was, I know who you're talking about, because me and him talked on the phone the other day, and he thought this was a really good thing. He said, I think that is how you handle it. He said, I think that's the right way.
So here's what I'm gonna say, is if the county attorney can put together some program where they feel that the county attorney's office gives me a legal opinion. I'm not practicing law here. I wasn't elected to be county attorney. County attorney gives me an opinion and puts together a program that the court will approve, then I'll be happy to sign it. But right now, the way I read the statute, and Paul can correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't put it doesn't say that the county attorney, the county judge can delegate that power. It says the county judge shall hire the veterinarian. It says the county judge shall record the findings and the name and residence of the taker up. How am I gonna know if the Humane Society comes up here and takes 20 horses that they took them? I mean, I have no way, unless that we send an animal control officer out every time they go out.
Well, it'd only be one roundup at a time. And they'll probably take, maybe 10, 12, 14 head out of here at one time, and then
But-
come back maybe in a week or two and try to round the rest of them up.
But it says I have to maintain documentation in electronic and paper format. I don't know what that means. I guess keep it on the computer.
That Lori Redmond from the Humane Society said that she does all that. She said that she does all that and then sends it to you,
Well, I mean,
that way
well,
everybody's.
that needs to be a conversation between the county attorney and her. And if they can, something that the county attorney puts in writing to me that they think it's in compliance, that I can rely on in good faith, then I'll be happy to do it. I also am charged with sending documentation to the state veterinarian. It don't say that I can depend on that I can depend on the Humane Society to do that, because it says the county judge shall do it. It don't say that I can delegate that power. And I can tell you what I think. I was down there when this was done, and there was a wild horse task force that met forever. And the big thing they were concerned about was people taking horses that didn't belong to them. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I came over, when I went over to Grapevine from Phelps the other day, there was 6 horses standing right in the middle of the state road, big piles of manure right in the middle of the state road. It's a problem. There's been people hit them with cars.
I've got pictures of a lady that was spent a long time in ICU. I'm just scared that a kid's here's what's gonna happen. I'm afraid, there was a school bus hit one here a while back. I'm scared to death that we're gonna have a family or a child get killed with these horses over here. I'm talking about on the safety side of our people in Phelps. Now, on the humane side of it, I hate it for the animal, because
I don't disagree
personally,
with you.
I hate it for the animal because they're starving or getting gut shot.
This ain't just here in Phelps. There's horses in Red Cedar over here on this side of the county. A friend of mine, there was one of them up there that was colicked, and they were up there trying to save it. I mean, you've got wild horses like this all over the county, not just in Phelps. I think Phelps over there around Jamboree is probably the worst place.
They come off the hill right there around the Jamboree area, and that's where they're getting in everybody's yards.
Mouth of Beach Creek down through there,
Yeah.
they're awful.
Beach Creek. I mean, honestly, those people are living through pure torment over there. They really are.
Well,
I mean, you got old people that can't even get out in their yard.
If the county attorney could put together something where he's confident, Roy's confident that we can do this with the Humane Society, but we need to have a conversation with them that if you do this, how do we guarantee that they provide the documentation? How do you get around the statute that it says the county judge shall contract with the veterinarian? It don't say the Humane Society shall. It says the county judge shall contract, verify the marks, keep a database, report it. There's no way that the only way we could do that is to do it with our own officers.
We're not equipped to do that.
That's why it's never
No,
been done.
and that's
before.
why the Humane Society, that's why we got the Humane Society involved, because the horse rescue group told me, said, listen, the Humane Society is the one that helps us in every county we go to, and said, we work with them every day. And said, here's the contact lady that you need to contact, or I'll reach out to her and she can contact you, said, because they do this every day in every county.
I mean,
And I said, okay.
it needs to
So
be,
that's-
it needs to be done, but the reason that I don't know very many county judges up here that have done it is because the way the statute's written was, in my opinion, was not written to encourage that practice. Because, to make sure, the county judge has to make sure every horse is taken up, that all that information is sent to the state veterinarian. I've been in county government for 25 years. I don't even know who the state veterinarian is. Quite candidly, until I read the statute, I didn't know we had a state veterinarian.
Well, the Humane Society works with the state veterinarian. That's their go-to person, according to Lori Redmond from the Humane Society. She explained to me, actually yesterday, that she had to pick up 12 horses because the state veterinarian, and she's got to get them certified. The state veterinarian sent her there to get them, due to not them being wild, but they was being starved to death and they wasn't being taken care of.
There's got to be some forms developed. There's got to be some forms developed for each horse, where it was taken up, whose location, who has possession of it, where it's going to be held.
And she said that they do all that, according to her, that they do every bit of that for us. They take care of all the records, and then I guess send them back to us maybe for, we have a copy of it too, or whatever. And they also do the stray database also, because she told me, she said, look, we do this every day of our life. She said, we take care of the stray database, we'll take care of all that. The only thing you guys need to do, the only thing is post it in the clerk's office for 15 days. She said, that's it. And I have called everybody I know in Phelps, guys. I'm serious. I have nobody that says, don't come over here and help us. Every contact, every person I know wants us in there, or wants the Humane Society, a rescue group, in there, because they're scared to death for, not only property destruction, but they're scared to death somebody's going to get hurt or killed out on the road. I mean, I would hate to get a call that a horse went through a windshield and took out a 3 or 4 year old child. You know what I'm saying? And that's why this Humane Society is, saying, hey, you don't have to do nothing.
Here's the email says, they will collect the horses with Aaron's help, bring them to their farm in Simpsonville. The number of horses they can take depends on capacity. They will obtain and pay for a vet to issue a certificate once the horses are secured at their farm, and post the photos and vet certificate on the required stray hold database. And take ownership after the 15 days. It says the county judge needs to sign the stray hold or take her up form and post photos of the stray horse in the county clerk's office.
Yep. That's what she said. That's the only thing we would have to do. Personally myself, being that I represent that area, I would go over and will go over with them, if we can get them in here. I don't care a bit in the world to go over with them and even help them, I'm fine with that.
Because what it says here, essentially, what the Humane Society is basically proposing is me delegate all these responsibilities under the statute to them. So, if we get the county attorney's office involved and they get me an opinion, and because we still are going to have a form that we have to keep that here. So
Now,
let me
she's seen a
let me
form.
ask you a question. Hypothetically, what if there's horses that don't make it onto the database, that they don't have, they miss one of the steps in this process, and we've delegated that to them? Am I liable for that?
I don't think we would be held no more liable as far as a court.
I ain't talking about you. It don't say.
Yeah.
It don't say.
I don't think you would be held liable.
Quite candidly, I ain't worried about you all. It says the judge shall
Yeah.
do it.
Well, I don't think you would be held no more liable, honestly, than, let's be honest about it. Those people, what if we have a horrible wreck over there today and
Then
somebody gets killed?
We have no, we're not legally liable for that. But when the statute says the county judge is supposed to do something, and what you're proposing is I depend on the Humane Society to comply with the law on my behalf, and they don't do it, I'm not sure you have a good faith argument that I think that you can't just say, well, you do it for me. That'd be like me saying, I'm gonna get somebody else to submit the county budget, the proposed county budget to the county. I mean, there's certain things in the statute that are specified that the county judge has to do. It doesn't say that the Humane Society, it puts the onus on me to do it, and if I don't do it, the only question I have is, am I liable for that? If somebody's horse gets taken and gets sold or neutered or whatever, am I liable? Let the county attorney do an opinion letter for me and put some forms together, and if we think we can do it, and I got the county attorney's opinion I can rely on, then we can go from there, and I'll be happy to sign it. It needs to be done, but the statute, what's that? Yeah, I mean, I need something to cover me that says, that we think this is in compliance. Because, I mean, the old saying, the lawyer who represents himself has a fool for a client. I'm looking at it, but, I'm not the county attorney.
I looked at, 259.140, talking about responsibilities that you mentioned,
It says if it's a good faith. It don't.
We could take a form with their signature on it stating that, they are the ones that hold possession and care for, hold, and to follow statutes under that 120.
I mean, it don't say that the county judge can delegate that. As I read it, it says that the county judge has to do it. And I don't care to do it. I mean, I don't care to keep the database, but I think we've got to keep, because 140 says specifically, county judges or participating state agencies and all others, employees acting in good faith in the discharge of their duties shall be immune from criminal and civil liability. So, am I acting in good faith if I delegate it to the Humane Society and they don't do it, when the statute says I'm supposed to do it? It says the county judge shall contract with a veterinarian. It don't say the Humane Society shall hire a veterinarian.
But they do.
Let me tell you why I think that's in there, is because they don't want somebody that has a vested interest in taking title to the horse being the one to hire the veterinarian. The veterinarian is a safeguard for the property rights of the potential horse owner. The reason the county does it is because the county ain't the one looking to take ownership of a horse. It may be a valuable horse.
No, they're not.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know that, but what I'm saying is I know how contentious this has been, and I know that Joy Collins was not in favor of doing this at one time, and I trust him implicitly when it comes to these issues.
I think the way it was being done is what he wasn't in favor of, according to him.
Well, I mean,
The
all
way
I
it
know
was,
is I have a lot of respect for Joy Collins,
Yes.
and he was not in favor of the way, of allowing this to be done in the way it was proposed, which is the way it's proposed now. The statute says the county judge shall contract with the veterinarian. So how can you argue that you're in good faith if you're letting somebody that's wanting to take ownership of these horses be the one to hire the veterinarian? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I would think that Humane Society would be,
Well, I mean,
pretty reputable group.
well, I mean, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying I didn't write the statute. I wasn't author of that bill. I didn't even remember it had come through there, other than the fact that there was a huge issue about this. Robin Webb was on that task force. Senator Webb was on it. And I've had a discussion with her about this last week, and the big issue with the members of that task force is they wanted to make sure people's horses didn't get taken up.
No, absolutely. Nobody, I would never want that either, If they had any ownership, they wouldn't be out where they're at right now anyway.
I agree. It's inhumane. They're out with, who knows if they've got adequate,
They
feed.
don't.
They don't.
I bought 1,000 pound of feed in the last 2 weeks to send over there to try to keep them on the hill, just to be honest.
Well, they were right in the middle. They were right in the middle.
I've done my best to try to keep them, and I live in Belfry. I'm doing it for the animal itself and for the people in the Phelps area.
Freddie, I'll be happy to do this. We need to work some details out if we think there's a way we can do this. But if not, then what we're gonna have to do is contract with Joy Collins or somebody to comply with the statute. I just think when the statute says shall, that is a mandatory directive. It's not, well, you can do it this way, or you may, or, it doesn't give any choice when it says the county judge shall contract with a veterinarian. Now, if there's another veterinarian somewhere that we can contract with, I'll be happy to talk to them. We got to figure out how much that's going to cost, because
I don't think it costs us nothing.
Well-
It don't gonna cost us a penny.
if we had an agreement with the Humane Society that they'll reimburse whatever whatever the veterinarian is that we enter into a contract with, but I think the contract has to be with the county. The statute says the county judge shall contract with a veterinarian. So if we knew a veterinarian is willing to do this, the county can contract with them, and that would be the way to start the ball rolling. I don't care it don't mean the county has to pay for it, but the county still has to have the contract. And you don't have to bid it because it's professional services. I mean, I don't care to do this if we work out these details, but I think it's not as simple when the statute says shall.
What if the Humane Society provided a contract with the court, with their contract with
Well, I mean, what does the statute say? The statute says the county judge shall contract with, it don't say the Humane Society can, it says the county judge shall. That is not optional language, that is a mandatory requirement.
Would it be best if the Humane Society come in and had a meeting with us?
I'll be happy to meet with them, I'll be absolutely happy to meet with them, as long as the county judge executive has to contract with the veterinarian. I'm gonna make sure the statute's complied with. I mean, I didn't write the statute. The statute doesn't say anything. It says specifically, I want to read it again. And if anybody can dispute this, I mean, I'll stand corrected. I've been wrong before after 30 years of doing this. It specifically says, duties of the county judge pertaining to stray equines shall be, one, contract with a licensed veterinarian who shall document the stray equine's breed, color, sex, marks, brand scars, and other distinguishing features, perform a microchip scan and identify the existence of any lip tattoos, freeze brands, or microchips. Record the findings, the name and residence of the taker up, and the location of the stray equine in a book to be kept by him for that purpose. So that's something the county judge has to do.
So you can't let the Humane Society do that?
It says, I have to contract with a licensed veterinarian. Duties of the county judge shall be to contract with a licensed veterinarian. As long as the contract, don't say we have to pay for it. The Humane Society could agree to pay for it, as long as we've got a contract with a veterinarian.
Yeah, they're agreeing to do it all. I mean, the Humane Society.
It also puts on the county judge, not the Humane Society, the obligation to send a copy of the documentation to the state veterinarian, who shall post notification on the Office of the State Veterinarian's website. The Office of the State Veterinarian shall post one photograph of the view of the front and one view of the side of the muzzle of the tail. Then the county judge shall give to the taker up a copy of the documentation for the record and immediately deliver to the county clerk a certified copy of the record. The clerk shall then record the stray certificate on the county judge executive. Then the taker up shall immediately post a copy of the judge executive certificate in the sheriff's office. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous what they've done. And maybe we need to talk to Senator Wheeler about seeing if we can streamline this. Because this is, Philip would agree with us that this is an insane process if there's a stray.
It's stupidity.
It's stupidity. I agree with you. But it's still the law, and, we need to make sure that we're in compliance with it. If we want to set a meeting up, we will be happy to do it. We could contract with the Humane Society's veterinarian, but there's got to be details worked out on how all this stuff gets done. And what assurances that I have that the Humane Society will fulfill their obligations? Because if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then guess who it falls back on? To me, there needs to be a contract between the Humane Society and the county.
To cover everybody.
Well, yeah, particularly when it puts, it don't say the fiscal court shall do. If it said the fiscal court shall do this, it's on all of us. But when it says the judge executive, that's the, there's certain things by statute that I'm charged with the responsibility of doing that don't fall on you all. And that, I just want to make sure that we do this. It's not been done before, not by any of my predecessors. I know it's a problem and I'm on your side on this. I just want to make sure that when we put this program together, put this plan in place, that we're doing it right by the statute so nobody can get mad. And we need a contract. I think there needs to be a contract with Humane Society that if they fail to meet their obligations and I'm sued or the county sued over it, that the Humane Society is responsible for any damages.
But, you know, a stray horse and a stray dog's the same thing, it's just bigger, right?
Except the only problem
You know.
is there's no statute that deals with stray dogs that requires me to do this stuff. I mean, we just need to have a meeting with the Humane Society. I'll do it whenever y'all want to do it. And as a matter of fact, I'll have Jeannie email that woman if they want to come up here and sit down with us in the county attorney's office. We'll be happy to put something together. But there's got to be some kind of contract between me or the fiscal court and this. And you all will have to ratify the contract because, see, this is why this statute's terribly written. As a county judge, I have no power to enter into contracts, except this statute gives me the permission to enter into a contract. I would feel better if the fiscal court voted on a contract. But if the contract says that these fees will be paid by the Humane Society, that's even better. But, you know, it's got to be in the contract that the veterinarian will deliver this documentation to us timely so that I can then make sure it's sent to the state veterinarian. And I mean, the reason I'm concerned over it so much is because of the fact that I know for a fact that there were people who claimed these horses when some of them were trying to be taken up. And I know that some people turn these horses loose over there on them strip jobs and let them run so they don't have to, to win.
The horses, the actual horses that's running now is totally wild. They've never had a halter on them. They've never been in a barn. They've never had no ownership, you know. The guy supposedly that turned those horses loose was about 15 years ago. He turned 4 or 5 head out, and he passed away a few years later, from what I've been told by some folks over there. And now he's gone, and from what he's turned out, they've just, multiplied, basically.
Freddie, I agree 100% something needs to be done, but we looked at this, like I said once before. Roy's looked at it before. If we can come up with a way to comply with the statute, I'll sign the order tomorrow to let them come and get them. But I just want to make sure that when we do this, it's done right by the book. We need to sit down and have a conversation with the Humane Society about what their obligations will be and who we can contract with on it. I'll sign it tomorrow as long as if there's a way we can get it in compliance, I'll sign it tomorrow. But we got to make sure if it was, I just think when the statute says, I shall do something, how can I depend if the Humane Society doesn't do it, it falls back to me. And then somebody sues you and you've not complied with the statute, then what's your defense?
So are you going to reach out to?
I'm gonna let Jeannie contact
Jeannie
them, see if
can
we can
contact
set it.
them
I don't care if
directly?
it's even by Zoom. I mean, we can do it Zoom, we can have them come down, whatever.
Okay.
But it's been an issue. It's been, like I said, there were 6 of them right in the middle of the road. There were piles of manure, their 5-gallon bucket wouldn't hold over there in the middle of the state road.
You should see the people's yards.
Well, and here's what I don't understand. Why has the state transportation cabinet not done something? Because they're clearly a problem. There's clearly a problem because it impacts the state roads.
It's a danger.
It's a danger to every
Major.
motorist. And it was getting dark when we were going over there, and there was a black horse right in the middle of the road.
I go through there 4 or 5 times a day and deal with it.
Yeah, but Bubby's over there, he sees it all the time.
4 or 5
It's-
times a day. I
I
mean,
mean, this has been a problem back, when you were in county government before, it's been a problem. I'm gonna say it's been a problem for 20 years. It was a problem when I first got elected to the state senate.
I know it's been a problem for 20 years.
And
sure.
there was one, it's been a few years ago, but there was one person hit one, that they got hurt real bad over there.
I bet, that might have been the pictures that they was sent me the other night.
Yeah, it's bad, and I'll be happy to do this, but like I said, it's been a controversial thing when you start going over and taking them up. In reality, what should be allowed to happen is if some stray horse comes on your property, you ought to be able to get somebody to take it up, or you ought to be able to take it up, and just simply notify the county judge executive that a horse was taken up. And then the county judge could keep a list of where it was taken up at, and you wouldn't have to do all this stuff. But posting pictures of a horse on the state veterinarian's website,
For 15 days.
it's ridiculous.
But she said that they would do that, though.
Well,
But that'd be in a contract between you two.
It would have to be, I would want the court to ratify it, but it needs to be in writing that, that they would be, are they willing, that if I get sued or the county gets sued because of a violation, that they would hold us harmless? I mean, the county in the past has had, and I don't know if the statute was complied with, but there were people, the county's taken up some of these horses before.
I can remember.
And I don't know if the county takes them up, that the county necessarily has to comply with it, because if their county animal control officers take them up, that you do. I don't know the answer to that. Anybody got anything else on wild horses? It's been spread cedars, another one. I mean, I specifically had a guy that Fabian and I plays football with in high school call me and had a huge problem over there with one.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to feed those horses and, one died because of malnutrition. I mean, he was driving feeders,
It is cruel and inhumane, and it's a public safety issue, but like I said, it's a county-wide problem. And we need, if the Humane Society is going to participate in this, then we need to make sure it's done right. But, I did talk to, and as you know, I've talked to a veterinarian before about this, when this all came up.
Yeah, me and him talked about it the other day.
And his advice to me at that time was, it's not to do it because of some of these issues. But like you said, there were some threats made.
Right. That's what he was concerned about, he said.
Well, we've had that come up here. We've had some threats made against me and other county employees. I mean, people are nuts anymore. You don't know what somebody's going to do.
But and I totally agree, and, but at the same time, we still have to, people still need to comply. They can get mad and threaten, but we've still got to do our deal, you know what I'm saying? We got to do our jobs. It'd be like a state police saying, well, they threatened me up in that holler, I'm not gonna go up there and do nothing.
Well, but like I said, I went to the local veterinarian that probably treats more horses, and he was opposed to trying to take them up at that time.
Yeah.
That's only been a couple years back.
Yeah.
So, if he's willing to do it, I'd love to have him do it, but whether he has time or not, if we can just find a veterinarian that will do a contract with the county, and we'll do this, and we have some assurances, some contractual assurances that the Humane Society will do the proper documentation, I'll sign it tomorrow. But I think there's got to be some kind of agreement in place. Because what if they start taking these horses up and they don't provide us the documentation? Then what do we do? I mean, I don't know these people.
Well, I think that's something that a conversation needs to be held between
You and I can have a conference call with them, or we can have them come
Yeah.
down, either way you want to do it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to them, see what they want to do, but Jeannie can reach out
Yeah.
to them today. You've got her address and phone number in there. So, all right, anything else? Bubby, anything?
Judge, I just, I want to thank everybody that showed their support during our loss. It was overwhelming. The funeral spoke in numbers, kind of person my sister was. There was over 600 people attended her funeral. It was both nights and a day. Food, flowers, text, calls. really showed a lot, and I appreciate everybody. And everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Freddie?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I hope you and your families have a wonderful, Happy New Year. One of the things also that I will go over with you, and I'm having trouble and I need some help here, guys, is South Wimpson Park and the South Wimpson community. I'll be honest with you, these rehabs, I am 1,000% for rehabs. I love to see people get their life back on track. I love to see them doing good. I'm 100,000% behind that. Well, what's happening is we've got a rehab program. Actually, unfortunately, it's in Wimpson. So when people's coming into it, they're coming from all over the country basically to this rehab. Well, if they don't follow the orders or they get caught doing something they shouldn't do, they just kick them out on the street. Well, now I'm sure most of you understand this, they're flooding South Wimpson and they're destroying that community. And to give you an example, there was a 4-year-old child stepped out to see a train the other day. She heard the train blowing, going by, and she stepped out to see it. And here comes a guy running at her, screaming horrible, nasty, perverted stuff of a 4-year-old child. And her grandmother was with her, and she grabs her and she takes her back in the house. Now, those people in South Wimpson should not have to put up with that garbage. They should not have to lay over there and be scared to death to open their doors because that rehabilitation program over in Wimpson does not want to buy them people a ticket wherever they come from. If you charge them or grants or whatever, ever how they get into your facility, you should add transportation costs to that. So when they either get kicked out or graduate or leave, you should put them on a bus and send them back to where they come from instead of turning them loose on our people in this county. And we're not only having an issue over there, it's anywhere you go around these rehabs. I can go up a holler right now. If we don't pay close attention, we're going to end up losing our county to all this stuff that's taking place. I can go up a holler right now and show you 10 or 12 tents of people that's just come in here and they're just taking over. They're finding any house. If your house lights is turned off for over a week, they will move in. And it is wrong for the people of Pike County to have to put up with that garbage. And I don't know what we do about it. I need help. That's why our people needs help. Our communities need help. South Wimpson needs help. South Wimpson was always, my whole life, beautiful community, great folks over there, hardworking people, salt of the earth community. And they can't even enjoy their park. They can't even get out of their houses. They can't do nothing. They can't let their children play out in the yard. I mean, it is so heartbreaking to see these communities go through this right now in our area. And, I was just at Mustang Restaurant yesterday at Millard, and the lady told me that she was probably losing out, I don't know if, a lot of money, because unfortunately they do the same thing from what she told me. And she's got them laying there sometimes passed out around her store. She's got them out. What is the answer? Somebody help me here. What is the answer? What do we need to do to give our county back to the taxpayers instead of people that's just coming in here and just throwing up a tent? And if it's not in your community yet, it's coming. And it is not right for a rehabilitation program to take these people in from Ohio, Michigan, and every other state, and to take these people in, and when they do not comply or they find a reason to kick them out, they're on the street. They don't even, they don't even, they don't even as much as give them a ticket to go back to where they come from. and we've got a horrible situation. We need help. Has anybody got any advice? Judge, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I tell you, this court's talked about this before. You know, there's certain things that we have authority over and we don't. We are not a law enforcement agency.
Right.
Mr. Howard is a prosecutor. If somebody takes charges against somebody, he can put them in jail. Sheriff Scott, if he catches somebody committing a crime, he can put them in jail. You got two outstanding district judges. The problem is, it's already against the law to go into somebody's property that you don't own. It's already, you know, if you walk in your house and somebody's in there, that's burglary. If you go into a house, there's not one thing the fiscal court can do. We don't pass felony criminal laws. That's not within our jurisdiction. We can't, to my knowledge, the county can't make an ordinance that makes it a felony. It's a problem over there. It's been a problem, and, you know, maybe President Trump will fulfill his promise starting on January 21st to start deporting some of these people. But as far as what we can do, it's just like this wild horse situation. I mean, there's things we can do, and there's things we can't do. When we dealt with that issue before, they wanted me to sign an order letting them go on private property, and I wouldn't do that. Some of these issues are better directed to the state police and the sheriff and the county attorney and the Commonwealth attorney, because we are not a law enforcement agency. You know, I have no power. If we pass a county ordinance on littering, I don't have any power to enforce it, and you all don't. I can't be deputized as a deputy sheriff, and you all can't be deputized, because if you get Rodney to swear you in as a deputy, the second you do that, you're no longer a county commissioner. I don't know if you know that or not.
Right.
It's an incompatible office.
Yeah.
So we were elected. You're the county legislators. I'm a legislator, and I serve a dual role as the judge executive that runs the day-to-day functions. We don't even run the jail.
No.
If Paul puts somebody in jail, we don't run the jail. That's Brian Morris's job. Our duties are essentially county roads, solid waste, animal control. People even, there's a misconception. We don't run the senior citizen centers. They're ran by a separate nonprofit board. I mean, the duties of the county government, operation of the emergency management system, floodplain coordinator, and to fund county government. That's essentially what our responsibilities are. Things like parks and playgrounds. And I know, Freddie, you get a lot of people call you about these issues, but sometimes you have to simply say that you need to call state police. If there's somebody on your property, call the state police, call 911. If somebody's in your house, I can tell you if I walk in my house and there's somebody there and they're not supposed to be there, they're going to have a really bad day.
No, you're going to call a corner at that point.
Well, that's Kevin Hall. That's Kevin Hall's responsibility.
We're not concerned about the state police.
But, it's a problem. And the problem is there's only one elected official that represents Pike County and Mingo County, and his name is Joe Biden. And on January 20th, it'll be Donald Trump. I mean, we don't have any common elected official except for one. And it's a problem. They are coming over here, and I don't know what you do about it. We cleaned out underneath that bridge over there. We sent the solid waste boom truck over that bridge. I can't remember which bridge it was over into Williamson, but they found microwave ovens, clothes,
It's a whole community. It's a community.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's crazy.
And the Supreme Court just passed an ordinance, or said that you can, before being homeless was not a crime. Now they've sort of allowed there is some leeway in vagrancy. But you still got to be able to arrest them. You still got to put them in jail. The county could potentially pass a vagrancy ordinance. We'd have to get Roy or Paul to look at what the Supreme Court said we can and can't do. Roy Downey looked at this issue 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, and his opinion was that we could do very little at the county level to address this. And he researched statutes across the country on vagrancy. Most of those statutes have been struck down as unconstitutional. So there are laws on the books. If people are breaking the law, the state police, the sheriff, a constable, they can be arrested. They come into court, Paul can prosecute them, and they can be incarcerated.
Let me ask you, Judge, are they any way that, like, where this is an issue is, it's in West Virginia happening, but it's filtering over onto us? Like, could we meet with the, say, the officials there in Wimpson?
They're probably glad it's not, they're coming.
Well,
over
they don't
to
want them
them.
there. But if they would pass an ordinance and say, look, if you're gonna have a rehab in our county,
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the local, I
you're
mean, I
gonna have
know,
to transport them back where they come from when you kick them out.
I mean, we have no, I mean, other than just having a conversation, we have no way
Yeah.
to leverage or force them to do anything.
No. But you think we could, would that
Well, I
be
mean,
something worth meeting
we
with them
could reach,
about?
we could reach out to some of the officials over there, like Diane Hanna, and I'm not sure if Hootie is still on the county, the commission over there. You got, is it Nathan Brown's on there? Yeah, I know some of those, is the Howard, is that kin to you, Paul? The Howard over there? It's on the Mingo County Council or whatever, or they can. Who'd you say it was, Terry? Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Mike
him.
Casey.
So who's on the county council or on the county commission? Okay, Thomas Taylor. Okay.
Yeah, I know Tom.
Yeah, I know Diane. I mean, we could talk to them, but I mean, at the county level, I mean, that's a state problem. I mean, their legislature, what do you do?
The only thing I know that would help, would be if they had an ordinance in their county, just like us, that if any rehabilitation program sets up in this county, it is, an ordinance or whatever that, if you bring people in here from out of state or out of the county, if they fail your program or after they graduate your program or whatever the situation is, when they leave out those doors of yours, you have to provide them a ticket, just like we did at the jail. If somebody left West Care or graduated, the state provided funding that our officer would take them to Ashland, put them on a Greyhound bus, and take them back where they come from. And I think that the rehabilitation centers should do the same, because it's unfair to the people in the community to have to put up with that. Hey, we're going to kick you out of here, Fabian, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're already broke, busted, disgusted, not trusted, you know what I'm saying? And you have no way to go nowhere. What do you do? I mean, it's wrong on every level, Get them back to where they come from anyway. Get them out of our hair, I mean, that's the way I look at it. And also, in closing for me, I want to thank the fire departments, Nee, and those guys at Belfry, and all our fire departments throughout our county. Me and my wife followed the fire trucks the other night out of Stone, and Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus was on it. And man, I didn't really realize how wonderful and how awesome that is for our communities. You would watch those kids come out there, kids that you knew wasn't going to be getting a whole lot for Christmas, but man, they'd be out there jumping up and down in the yard, fist pumping, tickled to death. And those firemen, was going down there passing out candy to them and stuff. I want to thank the fire departments today, and I really, really think that's awesome work that you guys do. And thank God for you, Appreciate you.
All right, Commissioner Scott.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I got a parking ticket out there.
Freddie will pay it for you.
I'll give him the bill on it.
No, He was the one that had to explain all that stuff, not me.
But I'd just like to say a couple things. I'd like to thank of all the workers for the county, each and every one of y'all. And I want you to know we're having a Christmas dinner for the solid waste at 1 o'clock. Y'all are welcome if you want to come. And tomorrow at noon, we're having one for the road department at Marbone Fire Department. And the commissioners was wanting to put that on. I want you to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen. I don't think I have anything else to add. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And I guess the next meeting will be in
Yeah, I'm out.
This time, I would like to ask Need to come up and say the benediction for us, and then we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I got one too. I'll make two of us.
You in one too?
Shall we bow for prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you now, Lord. Lord, we thank you so much for the business that's been done for the benefit of this county, dear Lord. Lord, we thank you for each and every person that represents, dear Lord. Lord, we pray that you keep your hand upon those households in Pike County and the people of Pike County. Lord, I pray that you be with the families, Lord, that have lost loved ones. Lord, we pray that you just keep your loving arms around them, dear Lord, and give them comfort as only you can. Lord, I pray that you watch over each and every one of us as we travel to our homes, dear Lord. Give us safe travels. And Lord, we ask that everyone keep in mind, dear Lord, that your son Jesus and his birth, dear Lord, is the reason we're here. Lord, we just ask these things in your precious and holy of names. And amen.
Amen. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins? Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
No. Yes, we are adjourned.